Tonight, risky retreat, the new route out of Sudan. Still dangerous, but now the only alternative for Canadians. Airlifts grounded.
There was fighting around the airport as our aircraft were approaching.
The next option, a treacherous trek.
The scale of this conflict encompasses 2/3 of the country.
America overwhelmed.
We simply don't have physical space for them in the building.
A growing migration crisis at the southern border. Plus, the monarchy in transition.
Times have changed, and you've got to look to the future.
The big test facing the new king, preserving a united Britain.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
Good evening. Anxiety and apprehension. That is what hundreds of Canadians still trapped in Sudan are feeling tonight, now that Ottawa has ended evacuation flights. The airport is far too dangerous, they say, but so is the overland journey to sea, and that is the primary backup plan. The U.S.-led convoys are one way out, with naval vessels waiting at Port Sudan. But it's a menacing full-day journey to get there, and it means dodging small arms fire along the way. But after 2 weeks of brutal fighting between rival generals, as CTV's Melanie Nagy reports, people are desperate to make a break for it.
Sleeping on floors and crowded under tents, hundreds of people hoping to escape, including Canadians, are flocking to Port Sudan, which is now one of the only ways out of the volatile country.
IRCC, Canadian Armed Forces members, and Global Affairs Canada officials are relocating.
Global evacuation efforts have shifted to the coastal city because of deteriorating safety, particularly in the capital of Khartoum. Late yesterday, Canada stopped all airlifts from the area after 2 flights transported more than 200 people.
There was fighting around the airport as our aircraft were approaching.
It was terrifying.
Aza Ahmed is now back in Canada after fleeing earlier this week. She says getting to the airbase was extremely dangerous.
I actually had to wear a diaper underneath my clothes so that we can hide our passports in case we were stopped by the militia members.
Tens of thousands have fled since violence erupted more than 2 weeks ago. The Sudanese military and opposing rapid support forces are fighting for control of the country.
That airport now is no longer safe to fly people in and out, and now we have to do a more difficult operation.
For the roughly 230 Canadians still seeking help, if not already in Port Sudan, they'll have to make a treacherous journey by road to get there.
She have to travel more than 8,000 kilometers.
Inam Mohammedain says her Sudanese mother is stranded. She's worried about her traveling alone and wants Canada to help her.
I ask you guys to stand up behind me and help me to get my mother here.
The federal government says it's working to secure new evacuation routes, including joining American-led convoys.
We will continue to assess those options as they evolve.
Ottawa also said today that 2 naval vessels remain near Port Sudan and could be used to bring Canadians home. Sandy?
Melanie, thank you. Now, thousands of migrants are leaving their homes, hoping to make a new one in the U.S. It has the mayors of several southern states declaring states of emergency and calling for help. The crushing influx comes as a law to curb immigration comes to an end. CTV's Richard Madden explains.
An unprecedented surge of migrants is forcing several U.S. border towns to declare states of emergency.
As Mayor Pro Tem, I signed a disaster declaration.
In Brownsville, Texas, illegal crossings have exploded from 1,000 just 2 weeks ago to more than 15,000 and growing.
It's a migrant influx. The majority of them are Venezuelan nationals.
In El Paso, thousands of migrants are sleeping in alleyways, streets, and under boxes because all shelters are full.
They're outside for one simple reason, and that we simply don't have physical space for them in the building.
Cities are bracing for a mass influx of migrants as the COVID-era border restriction, known as Title 42, expires on May 11th. a policy by the former Trump administration that gives U.S. officials the power to expel migrants out of the country, citing public health risks.
We're getting prepared now for what we call the unknown. And the unknown, it's what will happen after May 11th.
The Biden administration recently announced plans to open new processing centers in Colombia and Guatemala in efforts to reduce undocumented immigration, along with tripling the number of deportation flights to certain countries.
Our approach is to build lawful pathways, cut out the ruthless smugglers, deliver lawful pathways so people can access humanitarian relief.
As the White House blames Congress for failing to deliver immigration reform, Republicans blame Democrats for failing to secure the border.
And Joe Biden sent a message that America's border is open. And millions of people answered that call and started coming across our border illegally.
The record number of illegal crossings has become a big political headache for Joe Biden a year from the next presidential election. And immigration is shaping up to be a major campaign issue again. Sandy.
Richard, thank you. The FBI has joined the hunt for a killer who went on a shooting spree Friday night in Texas, allegedly gunning down 5 of his neighbors, including an 8-year-old child.
Right now, we have 0 leads.
The carnage was sparked when the man was asked to quiet down. Police went door to door and later found some of his personal effects. This is the latest in a string of deadly shootings in the United States over everyday interactions. Well, Alberta's serious incident response team is investigating after Edmonton police shot a man suspected of stabbing 2 people. A video posted on social media appears to show the moment police fired at the man who was brandishing a knife. The suspect and the man and woman who were attacked are all in hospital. Well, picket lines were down for the weekend, but the 2 sides in the public service strike are still talking. On Friday, Ottawa put a sweeter offer on the table saying, "This is it, no more." The union is planning large rallies across the country tomorrow for May Day, a global day to show support for workers' rights. Tomorrow is also the last day to file your 2022 income tax return. Even though tens of thousands of CRA staff are off the job, you will still be charged interest if you fail to file and pay taxes owing. And there are labor disruptions in the United Kingdom, too, less than a week away from the coronation. Let's bring in CTV's chief anchor and senior editor, Omar Sachedina, who's outside Buckingham Palace in London. Omar.
Yes, Sandy, thank you. Monday is May Day, which is traditionally a day dedicated to promoting better working conditions. And on Saturday, among the guests of honor who will attend the coronation celebration will be healthcare workers. But tonight they are distracted by a labor dispute. CTV's Anne-Marie Medawake is outside one of London's largest hospitals, St. Thomas, on the other side of the River Thames near Westminster Bridge. Anne-Marie, what's this all about?
Omar, where I'm standing represents the fight that's going on right now between the government and its healthcare workers. As of 8 p.m. this evening, nurses here at St. Thomas Hospital and at hospitals right across the country walked off the job in a 28-hour strike. They say pay and workers are the issue, and there's not enough of either. The strike was voted on earlier this month after the Royal College of Nurses rejected the government's offer of a one-time payout and a 5% pay increase. The health secretary today called this work action disrespectful to other unions, and other government members have voiced their concerns over patients being at risk. But nurses here will tell you they say patients are at risk every day. They cite high stress post-COVID and the low cost of living, and low pay is leading to more and more people leaving their profession. Now, there are exemptions in place for nurses who are working at various ICUs and in the ER, but hospitals are warning the shortages from the strike will be felt. So as of tomorrow morning, nurses will be here and in front of hospitals across England at the picket lines. They'll be there until 11:59 May the 1st. Omar, one nurse put it this way, saying the system isn't just on its knees, it's on its face. Omar?
All right, Anne-Marie Medawake at St. Thomas Hospital, about 15 minutes east of here. Anne-Marie, thank you so much. It's unclear if that ongoing dispute with the National Health Service will impact this week's festivities, but today the liturgy of the coronation service was revealed by the Office of the Archbishop of Canterbury. It has confirmed the King's eldest son, William, the Prince of Wales, will pledge his loyalty and allegiance to the new monarch, and the public will be invited to do the same. That's a first. And here's another. Female clergy will also play a prominent role, as will religious leaders from other faiths. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, a practicing Hindu, will read a verse from the Bible. The king's eldest grandson, second in line to the throne, 9-year-old Prince George, also has a role as a page. But Prince Harry will have no formal role in the coronation. The divisions aren't just within Charles's own family. One of his biggest challenges will be keeping the kingdom united. CTV's chief international correspondent Paul Workman reports from Edinburgh on the renewed push for Scottish independence.
If clothes make the man, does that mean wearing a kilt makes King Charles a Scottish man? Supplied by the country's most renowned tartan maker, with a royal connection that goes back more than a century.
The Balmoral tartan is right here in front of us on the top.
Queen Elizabeth was dressed in Balmoral just days before her death, whose deep affection for Scotland may help her son win over this most defiant corner of his inherited kingdom.
Now in the transition period to His Majesty the King will be an interesting time, and people will be able to make their own view of him and his reign coming into play now.
The Queen was universally popular, her son is not. Many wonder then, will this be the moment Scotland becomes independent and the United Kingdom falls apart because of him?
Times have changed. Sadly, the Queen has passed on, and you've got to look to the future.
Alex Salmond is far removed from power now, but in 2014 led Scotland to the brink of separation.
Charles's love of Scotland is genuine. I just think in the 21st century, if you're starting a new state, you should start it from democratic principles.
Even though the streets of Edinburgh are barren of any coronation excitement, any coronation buzz, that doesn't mean support for the monarchy has suddenly collapsed.
I don't think there's any particular evidence that a seismic shift has occurred.
Alan MacDonald teaches history at the University of Dundee.
Even the places in the United Kingdom where the monarchy is least popular, it is still the favoured option.
What better way to find out than a sample of public opinion among drinkers at the King's Wark pub?
I don't have too strong feelings one way or the other, but I think he's not going to be quite as popular as his mother, I would put it that way, yeah.
Yet strongly in favour of a coronation when it brings an extra day off work. You could say Queen Elizabeth was the strong glue that held the United Kingdom together, which lays bare the question, can her son the King then save the monarchy and Scottish loyalty along with it? Omar.
All right, Paul Workman in Edinburgh tonight. And Paul will be part of our extensive coverage of the coronation from here in London, which includes a primetime special, King Charles, the Crown, and the Quarrels, Thursday at 10 p.m. on CTV. We'll also have live coverage on Saturday of the King's coronation starting at 3 a.m. Eastern, midnight in BC. So hope you'll grab a cup of tea and join us for what promises to be a historic and eventful week. But for now, let's send it back to the national newsroom and to Sandy for the rest of the day's news. Sandy.
Okay, not just a history-making week, Omar, but also lots of celebrating. Okay, thank you. Now, speaking of getting together, the White House Correspondents' Dinner took place last night in Washington. The key speaker, the 80-year-old U.S. president, who was right on topic, tackling his advancing age after being teased about it.
You call me old. I call it being seasoned. You say I'm ancient. I say I'm wise. You say I'm over the hill. Don Lemon would say that's a man in his prime.
Joe Biden also had the room laughing with a veiled joke about his presidential predecessor after the master of ceremonies reminded him to keep his remarks short.
Even offered me $10 if I'd keep it under 10 minutes. That's a switch, a president being offered hush money.
It's been 6 years since a U.S. president attended the gala. Donald Trump boycotted the event. Coming up, historic win. Long-suffering sports fans dare to hope. Plus, Michael J. Fox talks about his mortality. Canadian hockey fans are still basking in the glory of a thrilling weekend.
Yamamoto to the net, and it's in the net! The go-ahead goal!
The Edmonton Oilers advance to the second round, while in Toronto, a city starved for playoff success finally got the job done, turning relief into belief. CTV's Andrew Brennan reports.
For the first time in 19 years, the Toronto Maple Leafs are into round 2 of the NHL playoffs, surging past the Lightning in Game 6.
I have gray hair now. The last time they won a playoff round, I was writing an exam in high school. Like, do you understand how long it's been? Go Leafs!
And for a night, the city stopped, streets clogged with people, some hanging from lampposts, taking street signs as souvenirs, the traffic at a standstill, wedding parties put on hold.
They finally did it.
Adam Seymour lives in Carbonear, Newfoundland, about an hour from St. John's. He's a generational Leafer on his mom and dad's side. His basement is a temple to the Buds, past glories and current hopes. As is tradition, he watched the game with his family, beside his father and former Pee Wee hockey coach.
Just a great moment to look across my house and, 19 years ago I was in his house cheering for him, and now he's in my house cheering for him. So it's a pretty special moment for us.
A night of near euphoria turned into a day of dreaming. Some, like Don Kerr, admit it's been hard to keep the faith.
I'm old. I'm 60 years old, and I've been through a lot of bad times with the Leafs. I've only been watching them during the playoffs the last couple of years, and now I got a reason to watch on.
And while it may just be a one-round victory for a team that hasn't hoisted the Stanley Cup in over 55 years, but for Leafs Nation, the cup feels more than half full right now. Andrew Brennan, CTV News, Toronto.
Sure does. Still ahead, a chart-topping head count.
We are going to help the entire world to grow.
The front-runner moves to second place as the runner-up advances. Well, the count is in, and it's official. India has now surpassed China as the world's most populous country. China can boast 1.43 billion people. And today, just as the UN predicted, India toppled the longtime champion by about 3 million. CTV's John Venavali-Rao reports.
India's long been known as a place with a lot of people. At the start of the century, its population reached 1 billion. And some think the latest milestone gives the country bragging rights.
India is having the greatest youth population. We are going to help the entire world to grow.
At the UN, officials projecting as of this weekend, India's population will have reached just over 1.4 billion, not only matching but overtaking China, which has seen its birth rate decline for years, even after ditching its policy of allowing parents to have just one child.
Projections indicate that the size of the Chinese population could drop below 1 billion before the end of the century. In India, by contrast, the population is expected to continue growing for several decades.
In fact, the UN now estimates India's population will peak in the year 2064, reaching 1.7 billion. And its declaration that the country is now the world's biggest when it comes to a head count is a special moment for India, which sees itself as a rising global power. Surpassing China's population gives us an advantage, says this man. If our young work hard, it'll strengthen India's economic situation. In China, the government downplayed the significance of the moment, saying it still had a large quality workforce. But in India, some hoping for the kind of demographic dividend that lifted China out of poverty.
Since we have a lot of consumers, a lot of talent, if we were to use that smartly, we could actually occupy a much better place in the world than we currently do.
Still, some question whether India can repeat China's success, with the country grappling with a widening religious divide and concerns about climate change, while others see India eclipsing China's population as a powerful symbolic moment. John Venavali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
A powerful interview today with Edmonton-born actor Michael J. Fox, who spoke candidly about living with Parkinson's disease.
It's getting hard. It's getting harder.
It's getting tougher. Every day gets tougher.
The 61-year-old Back to the Future star was diagnosed at the height of his career more than 30 years ago. Today, he talked about his mortality.
I'm not going to be 80. I'm going to be 80.
The interview on CBS Sunday Morning was to promote his new documentary called Still, premiering in May. After the break, a citizen of the world, turning global adventures into a helping hand at home. We leave you tonight with a Globetrotter who has come full circle with lessons learned along the way. Here is CTV's Adam Sawatsky.
Don Monroe is in the midst of a journey that's led him around the world that began when he was a Tom Sawyer-type kid looking for adventure that often led to trouble.
The excitement sometimes required, stealing cars.
Eventually, Don was forced to refocus his relentless energy towards the more productive pursuit of sports.
Then I had to consider the team as teamwork.
Don says he excelled at athletics and was fueled by the competition. But then he met a young woman who'd traveled around the globe.
I was feeling I was missing out on stuff I hate to miss out on.
So Don decided to take on the world and give up everything he'd accomplished.
That was the toughest part. That type of security with friends and just leave that and go off on my own.
And although he eventually canoed from coast to coast, Don says his world travels began by hitchhiking across the country before spending years doing the same in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, all by himself.
Felt good, that I've accomplished something that other people haven't done.
During the following decades, Don regularly took leaves from work to pursue his goal of traveling to as many countries as he can on every single continent, which inspired him to write his recently published memoir.
I feel like I'm a citizen of the world now.
And after experiencing both good and bad around the globe, Don felt compelled to make things better back home.
And combine, adventure with also giving back, to society.
Which has included spending more than 27 years organizing a rigorous annual canoe relay that's raised almost $300,000 to send kids with disabilities to camp.
Obviously, it made you feel good. It inspired me on to keep going.
Don says his volunteer work has also felt like a way to redeem the mistakes of his wayward youth. Because no matter where you are on your journey, Don's learned you always have a choice with how it will unfold.
Life has a lot to offer, and we only go around once, and you got to make the best of it.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Saanich.
True words. That is our newscast for this Sunday. Thank you for sharing your weekend with us. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Omar will be broadcasting from London tomorrow. Have a good night, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.